The sun was beginning to set over the quiet town of Oak Creek. The long stretch of Route 90 looked peaceful. Pine trees lined both sides of the road, and the late afternoon light painted golden streaks across the asphalt. Inside a sleek black Mustang, a man named Alex Thorne drove calmly down the highway. He tapped his fingers gently on the steering wheel as an old song played through the speakers. On the passenger seat sat a carefully wrapped gift box tied with a silver ribbon. Inside was an iPad. It was a birthday present for his daughter Maya, who was turning 10 that day. Alex had promised he would be home before 4 to help decorate for the party. But he would never make it on time. Because hidden in the trees ahead, someone was watching. A police cruiser slowly rolled onto the road behind him. The officer inside was Derek Vance. In Oak Creek, Vance had a reputation. 6 complaints for excessive force. Multiple accusations of intimidation. But none of them had ever stuck. Because the sheriff always protected him. Vance followed the Mustang for nearly 2 miles. Then suddenly, red and blue lights exploded in Alex's rearview mirror. Alex sighed quietly. He knew exactly what this was. He pulled calmly to the side of the road, rolled down all 4 windows, and placed his hands on the steering wheel where they could clearly be seen. Moments later, Officer Vance stepped out of the cruiser. His hand rested casually near his gun as he walked toward the car. He looked at Alex, then at the expensive vehicle, then at the gift box, and immediately made up his mind. This would be easy. License and registration, Vance barked. Alex spoke calmly. Good afternoon, officer. May I ask why I was stopped? Vance leaned closer into the window, his voice dripping with hostility. I didn't ask for questions. I asked for your license. Alex slowly reached for his documents and handed them over. Vance barely glanced at them. Instead he smirked. Nice car, he said. What kind of work lets you afford something like this? Risk management, Alex replied calmly. Vance laughed. Then suddenly his tone changed. I clocked you going 55 in a 45. Alex shook his head. My cruise control was set to 45. And my dash camera records my speed. That sentence irritated Vance. Blah. So he changed tactics. Step out of the vehicle. For speeding, Alex asked. I smell marijuana, Vance said instantly. 'Twas a lie. But it was a common one. That single claim allowed officers like Vance to search a vehicle without proof. Alex stepped out slowly. He knew what was coming next. Vance ordered him to stand near a tree while he searched the car. Then something happened. Something subtle. Vance reached into his own pocket and quietly slipped a small plastic bag under the driver's seat. A moment later he pulled it out dramatically. Well, well, he said loudly. Looks like we've got cocaine. Alex stared at him calmly. That doesn't belong to me. Tell it to the judge, Vance said with a grin. Within minutes, Alex was handcuffed. Then things got worse. When Alex refused to argue, Vance fired his taser. 50,000 volts surged through Alex's body. He dropped to one knee as electricity ripped through his muscles. Then Vance slammed him face down onto the gravel. Stop resisting, he shouted loudly for the camera. But Alex wasn't resisting. He wasn't even angry. He was waiting. Because everything happening was being recorded. Vance shoved Alex into the back of the police cruiser and drove him to the Oak Creek Sheriff's Department. Inside the station, Sheriff Jim Caldwell reviewed the situation. Caldwell had been running a quiet scheme for years. Travelers were stopped. False evidence was found. Cars and money were seized through civil asset forfeiture. Most victims simply gave up. But this time, they had picked the wrong target. The sheriff leaned forward and gave Alex a choice. Option 1. Sign a document giving up the Mustang and any money he had. The charges would disappear. He could go home. Option 2. Refuse. And face 10 years in prison. Alex didn't hesitate. I choose option 3, he said calmly. The sheriff frowned. And what's that? I wait. An hour later, something strange began happening. Far away in Washington, D.C., alarms were sounding inside a federal operations center. Agents had been listening to the entire incident live. Because Alex Thorne wasn't just a traveler. He was the lead investigator in Operation Blue Shield, a secret FBI investigation targeting corrupt police departments, and Oak Creek was their primary target. Within minutes, a convoy of black vehicles was racing toward the station. Back in Oak Creek, the sheriff finally ran the Mustang's license plate through a deeper system. His screen turned red. A warning message appeared. Contact the Department of Justice immediately. That's when fear finally crept into the room. Who are you? The sheriff demanded. Alex leaned back in his chair. I told you, he said. I work for the government. Moments later, Alex was allowed to make a phone call. He dialed a number from memory. Mother, a voice answered. This is Thorne, Alex said calmly. I might miss the party. The voice replied instantly. Don't worry. The guests are arriving now. That was the code. Outside the station, engines roared. Boom, boom. A flashbang grenade exploded through the front doors. Glass shattered across the floor. Smoke filled the lobby. And armed agents stormed inside. Federal agents. Drop your weapons. Officers froze as red laser sights covered their chests. Within seconds, Derek Vance was face down on the ground, handcuffed exactly the same way he had handcuffed Alex. Inside the interrogation room, the sheriff stared in shock. You brought an army, he whispered. Alex looked up calmly. No, he said. I brought the law. Within hours, the entire Oak Creek department was under federal investigation. The planted evidence, the illegal searches, the asset seizures, everything had been recorded. For Officer Derek Vance and Sheriff Coldwell, their careers ended that day. And for the first time in years, justice finally arrived in Oak Creek.